As far as a strategy that you can apply for the rest of your course, I want to focus first on the class resources, and I want to show you that learning the statistical concepts is an iterative process. As you can see on this slide, I placed the classroom resources in the middle of this diagram, and I did that on purpose. That should always be the focus of your stats work. In essence, there is not even a need for you to go outside. I know that students like to look at other resources, and that is fine, but everything you need to learn is in the classroom. So make sure you click all those resources, even the optional resources. Sometimes I find out that students are just not getting their information from the classroom, and they've left some resources unseen. For instance, in the quantitative reasoning and analysis course in week 4, there's an awesome interactive tool that can show you how the confidence level works with the sample size and all that. If you never click on that, then you miss out on that opportunity to learn from there. You will have a more theoretical book in most courses. That's probably going to be your starting point. You might not grasp everything that's written in there, but that's okay. When you're done with your theoretical book, you can move to your practice book. For instance, there's the Wagner book in the quantitative reasoning class that you can then open up, but at the same time, open up SPSS and practice with the data set that belongs to that book. So you can click along with the author and understand, how variables are selected and how do you click around in SPSS, and, how do you create the output, and how do you then interpret that? There are also videos in your classroom, and it's a great way to learn if that is a comfortable way for you. Videos are more illustrative, so I can highly recommend that. Sometimes there are some outside links or some articles. I also think that it's important to keep your APA book close. I know that when we are in a program at Walden, we are all versed in how to write in APA format. And after a while, we're convinced that we are really good at it, and that's okay. But when you get to your statistics classes, APA format becomes a whole different animal. Chapter 4 and Chapter 5 of your APA book will teach you how to write up numbers, which is it's not as easy as it sounds. It will also show you how to write up these statistical symbols and letters. And then Chapter 5 in your APA book, it shows you how to present the tables and figures. And when you create tables and figures in a statistical program and export that to your Word document, I guarantee you that is not in an APA format. For instance, tables are not supposed to have vertical lines. And so you'll have to take these out. We also don't work with colors in figures in APA. And not all instructors and not all courses require that you're 100% on top of the APA, but it's a skill set to develop. And I urge you to take advantage of the statistics courses, because when for doctoral students, when you get to your dissertation to the dissertation moment, and you still have to learn how to statistically write up in APA format, it will be a steep learning curve. And to that end, I fulfill the quantitative track. Jessica is on the qualitative track. Jessica, when you work on your dissertation, do you still use your APA book?
Yes, I have not stopped using my APA book even when I finish my coursework. As I'm writing my dissertation through each chapter, I still find myself, opening up and reading it, because even though I'm not quantitative, there are still numbers and charts and tables that I'll have to put into my study. So I do find the APA book very helpful.
Well, thanks, Jessica, for sharing that with us. I also mentioned the CRQ resources here. That is our Center for Research Quality, and they produced an awesome set of skill builders. They're hosted on an outside website. It's called Study Hall at Laureate. It requires a login and a password. I placed them here on screen, so you may note that. In the 8210 course, in the quantitative reasoning course, they are actually listed inside your classroom, so they become part of the classroom resources there. But you want to take a look at these, because I can recommend bookmarking that, because if you ever come back to another statistics course, or for our doctoral students, you go onto the quantitative dissertation track, you will reach back to these. And it's great to have these. They're high quality resources, and I can highly recommend them. On the outside here on the diagram, you see our ASC resources on the left. We have great videos and static material on our website. We also have an archive of webinars that happened in the past that are just a joy to watch. If you click on the videos, that will take you to our YouTube channel. And our resources are great there, but I also know that when you go on YouTube, you'll start to get recommendations of follow-up videos to watch, and that will lead you to maybe outside resources. Be mindful that the quality of these resources is not always guaranteed. So ask yourself if it could be referenced. Is it worth referencing? Is the voice scholarly? And is it academic material? And check the reliability. And then lastly, I want to mention the fact that this is an iterative process. If you go back and forth between your resources, I think that it will greatly help grasping the statistical concepts. The statistics courses are not the same as other courses that you fulfilled at Walden. Mostly when you read a couple of chapters in the book or some articles, you're ready to write a paper. This is more a process of back and forth in statistics. It takes some time to set, but it greatly helps to read it in different books or watch it in a video. Change it up a bit. It will help your learning process. I think it also helps to learn from your classroom. I think that is a part of, at Walden that is sometimes underestimated. And we often go into the classrooms to post our discussion posts, and we come back for our 2 mandatory posts, replies that we must fulfill. But you can learn from these discussion posts from your peers, especially in statistics. Read through them, see what your peers are doing. Are they using different variables than you did? How did they come up with a research question? What kind of output did they generate? What kind of tests did they run? How are they interpreting those test results? How are they making or bringing the story of social change to the classroom? I think it's great to learn from that. And I can guarantee you that if you start reading these, you'll quickly recognize where somebody just stays on track and maybe somebody else has veered off a bit and doesn't come out with an interpretation that, that aligns with the research question, but it's a great learning experience. It also helps to read the instructor's questions and comments. Instructors are facilitators in our classroom, and they place those questions and comments there with a purpose. So read those and figure out why that instructor is asking that question. And then, see how you would answer questions like that. Learn from other people's replies. It helps to visit the discussion area every day, even though, you're only to post on Wednesday and write a couple of replies, because between the post time, mostly on Wednesday, and Sunday, when you're ready to write your paper, it becomes a learning process. Especially for the quantitative reasoning and analysis course for the PhD students, you'll be performing the same tests for the most part on Wednesday that you will perform on Sunday with a different data set. Well, somewhere along the line, you're going to refine your skills and you'll understand better from everything you read in the classroom and everything that you pick up during that week. You'll just refine your skills. So I think it's a great idea to visit that discussion area every day. Also, make sure you have a support system. And that doesn't just refer to your statistics courses, but I think that is a good idea in an online environment. I know that it's not easy. We work on our desks at home, for the most part, but it's important that you find yourself a support system of peers, people you meet at residencies, make contact with faculty at residencies, and bring your friends with you as you move forward. Create a group of support around you. From a personal perspective, I can tell you that is exactly what helped me through the dissertation process, are my friends at Walden. And in statistics as well, my family doesn't want to hear about p-values and confidence intervals anymore, but my peers certainly do, because they know exactly what I'm talking about. You have peers inside your classroom and you can reach out to them. There's always a class cafe or a class lounge. I think it's called the class lounge in the undergraduate courses. You can also reconnect with students you met at residencies. They might be on the same track that you are. They might be taking the same course, not necessarily in the same group, but you can share experiences. The Advanced Quantitative Reasoning and Analysis course has a collaboration board or collaboration lab. If you see it, use it. You can ask your instructor questions there. You can, throw some ideas into the group and see what kind of responses you get. I can highly motivate you to do that. We also have drop-in sessions, and Jessica will talk about that a little bit later. We have, like I mentioned, the visiting tutor in the classroom. If you see any of our tutors show up in your classroom in a thread, take advantage of that and come in and say hi and ask your questions. You can email your statistics tutors. Jessica will share those email addresses. And you can also, of course, book tutoring sessions with us. And let's quickly step back to the drop-in sessions. Jessica is a regular moderator for Dr. Inkpen. Dr. Inkpen is an instructional specialist with the Academic Skills Center and offers drop-in sessions in our role. Jessica, can you let us know what that
Sure.
entails?
So the drop-in sessions are currently offered to all Walden students that are in their coursework for statistics. Currently, they're held every Saturday and Sunday at 10 a.m. on Saturday and 2 p.m. on Sunday, all Eastern Standard Time. Beginning September 11th, we'll be starting on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. at the Eastern Standard Time. We do have the link available at the end of this session, and it's available on our WC Online platform. But the session is great for students to join Dr. Inkpen for they share the ideas and concept that they're learning that week in their discussion and in their assignments. And Dr. Inkpen can demonstrate skills and review different concepts, and the students discuss it with her and each other. And it's just a great way to collaborate. It's fun and it's laid back, and it's just really awesome.
Thanks, Jessica. And the drop-in sessions are open to all students in stats courses at Walden. And you'll meet people there at different levels. We have graduate students and we have undergrads, and sometimes the questions might not necessarily relate to what you're working on, but hearing stats really helps you. And I saw a question come by from Catherine, who asked where the collaboration lab is. Some of the advanced quantitative reasoning and analysis courses have a weekly collaboration lab attached to somewhere in their classroom. It's on a weekly basis, so every week has a different lab. If you're in an advanced class, go look around in your classroom, and I'm sure you'll find it. And I also want to mention how important it is to stay on track on these courses. In these courses, the statistics courses are built up in a progressive way. So whatever you learn in week 1, you're going to use that as a base point for week 2. And then you add on to that. So if you are in week 5, you have learned all these concepts in week 4, and you'll start in week 5 and add something, to the mix. If you fall behind, and of course, circumstances happen and we all have lives, and maybe a professor has provided you with an extension, but catch up as quickly as you can. Because if you're still lingering with a paper from an earlier week, and you already asked to perform some tests for an assignment in a later week, it's going to be very difficult to do because you are missing a piece of your knowledge there. So it's important to stay on track because of that progressive nature of the statistics courses. On the other hand, I also think it doesn't make too much sense to work ahead. I think some students like to look at, future weeks and start working on these assignments. You'll miss that learning experience between the time of your discussion post and your assignment. I know that sometimes we have things happening in our lives that force us to work ahead, and that's fine. But in general, in these courses, stay on track and take advantage of that learning experience. And I want to mention that, and it ties in with what I said earlier, that stats is more of a story. The stats courses at Walden, no matter what level you're at, will help you think like a researcher. You're being elevated to the level of researcher. You're going to be making executive decisions. You have an amazing helper. That's your stats program. And you can tell that stats program to do anything that you want, but you get to make the decisions. What variables are you going to choose? How are you going to put them together? What tests are you going to, ask SPSS to run? SPSS will run anything for you, even if it makes sense or not. The decisions are really yours. And how are you then going to interpret that output? And that brings me to the biggest benefit that you can get from these statistics courses. First of all, I think they're very rewarding because yes, they are hard work, and yes, you will put the hours in, but the gain in knowledge is just amazing. When I have regular students on my schedule, I always take a moment at the end of the semester to look back at the knowledge that the student has gained, and it's just tremendous. But for the doctoral students, there is a big benefit to fulfilling these stats requirements. Even if you are not interested in a quantitative track for your dissertation, and you might choose the qualitative route like Jessica did, or you might choose the mixed methods path, you're still going to have to read articles for your dissertation subject. And I can guarantee you that it's going to be a mix of qualitative and quantitative and mixed methods articles. So you'll have to learn how to read these articles and just, to be taught to think like a researcher and to get that practice picking these articles apart, that reaps great benefits for your dissertation process. Jessica, can you share with us, as a qualitative student on the qualitative track, did you include quantitative articles in your dissertation?
I sure did. I had to. So because my approach is grounded in theory, there wasn't a ton of research based off my topic. So I was in fact reading and evaluating quantitative articles and actually referencing them quite a bit. So all the skills I learned about validity and reliability from my coursework, specifically within the quantitative classes, were very beneficial to me now.